Uber and Lyft. Joe currently uses multiple phones to efficiently drive for Uber and Lyft. But this can be a pain at times and very unsafe. That was until Joe found Maximo, the rideshare app that automates Uber and Lyft ride requests. Maximo will use the filters set by Joe, like time, distance, and passenger rating, to determine which rides are best suited for Joe. When a ride request comes in, Joe doesn't need to worry. Maximo will automatically accept the ride request that matches his filters, and then turn off the app that isn't currently on a ride. Once Joe finishes the ride, Maximo will turn everything back on. This will allow Joe to focus more on his passengers and driving safe.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Thursday. Welcome back. Panel might look a little bit different to you guys. So I'll go around and do the introductions like I always do before the guest, and then I'll get to him. But first, we have some fill-ins as well. So obviously, we have Kim's Side Money Plans is here. We have John Dash, Dash Theory TV. And we have Jason from the Gig Economy podcast, and they are filling in for Hannibal and Gary. Gary's got some things going on, and Hannibal and Pedro are putting together that podcast tonight again, and then it'll be moved to Wednesday. So they're still juggling that time a little bit. We'll just hit an internet issue. Okay. Let me say hi to whoever's here first. What's up, Lisa? What's up, Thomas? What's up, Ryan? Wow, I haven't seen you in a while. What's up, John? I see you all the time. What's up, Bud Soda? What's up, Daphne? What's up, Red? And whoever's watching and not typing, hi. What's up to you guys, too? And now I want to introduce, obviously, our guest tonight, Mr. Yost Malone. Some of you might know him, some of you might not. Yost, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And for those of you who don't know Yost, he has a YouTube channel that I've put into the links, but he does DoorDash, and his channel really bases around a lot of baseball, though. And being a AL Central fan and a Tigers fan, it's rather interesting to me what fan he is and where he's from, because, well, I'll let him tell it. Why don't you tell a little bit about yourself first?
What's up, everybody? I'm so happy to be on here. I'm very excited with my hands. I talk a lot with my hands, and you can ask him with my interview. But anyways, I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm here in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm in the Kansas City market. I do DoorDash a lot, Spark, any app under the sun, I do it. So I do have some type of expertise in the area with, making smart money moves. And but I'm a huge baseball fan too. So you're gonna find out on my channel. I'll do some DoorDash. I'll do some baseball. I'm a big Royals fan. I'm also a Brewers fan. We can get into that story later. But yeah, baseball is just kind of my thing. I am a Tigers fan. I like the Tigers. My dad's from Detroit, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least Jason's in Michigan too.
Yep.
Right down here, Jason. I guess he's a Tigers fan. You're a Tigers fan, right?
I don't really care about sports. I mean, the Tigers, I know they suck this year, but
I know. But you're. I mean, I'm from Michigan too, so you're just a Michigan lover. You support.
Yeah,
them.
of course.
Yankees fan.
I understand the Lions have just wrecked caring for all of us.
No. Not Yankees fans. At least you're not Boston Red Sox fans. They're the worst.
Ooh. We would not be friends at this point.
Yeah, as a bar owner out here.
Steve froze.
I was going to say, yeah, Steve.
Steve, did you pay your internet bill? Someone Venmo him $50 so he can pay his internet bill. Come on, Steven.
There we go. It's fixed. And I didn't even hear it, but don't talk about me that way. All I heard was fans, and then I came back and Jason was talking, so I figured it was about me.
Yeah, it was. I was just filling space, brother.
Yeah. So I guess one thing first, I know that not a lot of rideshare here, but I got to bring it up that Uber, they brought Uber Pool back.
Ugh.
I saw that.
No, it's Uber shared.
I mean, I don't care
They
what
were
the name
talking
is.
about
I'm
that
just
for a
like,
while, weren't they? Like, weren't they like talking? It was coming. It was
yeah,
coming.
but it just happened, and this is the first time since the pandemic that they've done it. They've talked about it a lot, but they've actually done it. Like they just, and I'm not even saying about the pandemic. It has nothing to do with that. I just hate Uber Pool so much, and
I think Kim
yeah,
is right. We did talk about it about 3 months ago that they were bringing it back, but I never heard anyone up until now.
Yeah, they never did it though.
Yeah.
It was because different spikes with the virus and stuff was making it so they were just like, just forget it.
Right. Which they should just forget.
That I think a lot of news comes out and then like it doesn't ever happen, especially when it relates to Uber and Lyft and all these other companies. I don't know.
Right.
But I imagine people, fare being so high, people probably want it a little bit. People just want cheaper fares. They'll take them however they get them, I guess.
Did he freeze?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't think you save that much.
I've never taken it, so I don't know.
I've never taken it either. It's not in our market, but I think with the prices skyrocketing, people are probably like, yeah, we need to do it now because they're charging more, but not giving it to the drivers. That's obvious.
Right. Right. Can't disagree with that. They should give it to the drivers, but they're Uber. Leave it at that.
And something weird was going on with my internet connection. I think you cursed it, Jason. For real.
Yeah, you're kind of missing. Okay. You were going quiet for a while. Do you need to reboot?
Here.
Uh-oh.
There it goes again.
All right, so I'm gonna take over the show. So everybody,
go, Yost.
I need a rhythm here. We need that rhythm going.
Yo,
this is the Yost Malone rodeo, so this is how we're doing it now.
Tell me about your experience door dashing in Kansas City.
So DoorDash here, we have I'm in the Liberty, Missouri area, which is kind of north east, and we have kind of another area. We kind of like big, it's called North Kansas City. It's a giant area. I mean, it covers miles. I hate going in that area because it can either be in the city or you can be in a nice area. So I can't stand that area. But that area, of course, is always busy. And then we have some parts in probably it's north in Kansas. And that area is really good all the time. GridWise says that's the number one area that we have. So, but in my personal, where I do Liberty, it's very hit or miss. There's people that tip. There's no tippers, of course, and you really got to be careful of the orders that you take. The market here is really, really spread out, and so some orders I take, people are like, "Oh, that's too many miles." I'm like, the houses are built far away from the restaurants. There's not really a lot you can do.
Right.
So that's just kind of but obviously multi-apping. Grubhub just died. I don't know what happened. It was really good for a while, then it just completely crapped the bed. And then Uber Eats over here is not good, but in that Parkville area, which is probably 15 minutes west, Uber Eats is just crazy over there. So it's just weird on how certain spots of the city have certain apps that are better than others. It's just crazy.
Yeah, did Grubhub recently take a dump for you, or
yes?
Okay.
Yes, it's just like recently over the last like 3 or 4 weeks. It's not. I would get one order and it'll say, $7 for 25 miles. Obviously, yeah. I mean, just horrendous. I'm like, they're not even teasing me a little bit. It's just bad orders all around.
I wonder what happened, because it kind of happened with us too when food delivery kind of came around. And I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Grubhub was the bomb. You know what I mean? Like, I made so much money, and then slowly it just kind of faded away. It's still there, but now Uber Eats and it's mostly DoorDash. But yeah, I don't know why that happens. I guess over time they lose market share, but it's weird that all of a sudden that you noticed a big drop like 3 weeks ago.
Like, I was getting orders for like $30 for like 10 miles, and I'm like, you know what, I'll take it. And it was to another little town that's about 10 minutes away. And I was like, that's worth taking it. You get on the road, it's all highway miles. You get there, drop it off, and come back. I mean, those orders completely disappeared. And so I'm just like, what is going on? And so obviously I had to, adapt and, start doing Instacart a lot more, and Instacart's been good. I've been on Spark, and I was like, where's the Spark? Is just they give you so many incentives. They're like, come on, drive for us,
Hey, you're smart. You go where the money's at. You got to have all the buckets,
Absolutely.
And I want to ask this. I'm glad Jason's on the show tonight to ask you about this, because I feel like you were doing Spark before most people. I honestly do. Like, sometimes Grand Rapids isn't the first to a market or whatever.
Right.
But I feel like sometimes, who knows, why they pick what cities and what.
Yeah, Spark. This will be my third. Basically, for you guys that don't know me, I do full-time gig work in the winter. I work outside in the summer, and then I get laid off, and I don't collect unemployment. I mean, I could, but it's not very much. So I do gig work. So this winter will be my third winter with Spark. So I've been doing that a lot. I did almost all of that last year. That was actually, I got dinged on my taxes this year because I didn't drive as much and didn't have as much write-off. So because you do Spark, you drive, you'd go to the store, you'd make a $3 mile delivery, and you're back at the store again. Not very many miles.
So, but here's I guess my question about the Spark thing is that I hear everybody talking about Spark right now, or of the last 2-3 months. Last 2-3 months, everybody, like Kim just got on it about a month ago. Is that about right?
Yeah, probably about that. Maybe 2 months now, but yeah.
So, but it's been like the buzz has been like that. It's not anything before the new year. Like I used to hear about it from you, but now these other people are like, and I'm raging and I'm thinking, I remember when when you first were raging, and then you're like, yeah, it's not as good now. Like we know happens with apps. And so I was just like wondering, like, how come Grand Rapids 3 years ago had Spark and it started to already like taper off, and now everybody else is getting it. And they're like, whoa.
You know what I think Walmart's plan is, as we've talked about, they're launching their service where they deliver and put it in your home. I think they're just getting the customers used to it. And then they're going to be like, yeah, peace out, gig workers. We got our own employees now. And thanks for helping us build this. And good luck.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of my concern too, because they're watching what's happening in all these states with the W-2 laws and stuff. And I don't think they're looking to play with the gig workers forever. I think they're just trying to get the system down and the logistics.
I think they'll always fill a void. There'll be markets that they can't get enough employees on their end to do it, so there'll still be work there, but I bet it in the bigger cities, I bet it will go down considerably. But you got to go when the money's hot. If it's popping, go earn your money. If it slows down, well, there'll be another app coming to try something else.
But every once in a while people get really hyped about one. Everybody's super hyped right now about Spark because the pay is great when it comes to your market.
That's so funny because I'm like over it now. Like I'm like
that's what I was kind of getting at.
I feel like Spark, it depends on your area. And if it just got to your market, like in me, like Spark just got to my market, like when I joined probably about 2 months ago. It was all like this brand shiny new, like, ooh, look at Spark. And I know it rolled out to a lot of people across the country, where there's some people like you, Jason, who have had Spark for like 3 years. And I know from talking to other, people that they're going through the same thing. So I feel like there's like highs and then lows and then highs and lows, just kind of depending. Like I feel like it's not consistent across the board and across the nation. It's like market specific on where you're at, if it's good or not good.
Yeah. I wonder what the new app's going to be. Does anyone have a lead on a new app that's coming out? Anything?
I don't know about a new app. I know I'm in myself trying to sign up for Spark, and I'm kicking myself because I started the sign up process like a year ago, and then there's some issue with getting this email, took forever, and then when I finally follow back up on it, the market nearest me is like within a mile of me is closed. So I got this one like about 3 miles away that I signed up for, and but now I'm going through that whole trying to get the background check, yada yada yada, completed.
Okay.
But the app that I'm doing right now that's been good to me, although it's lower volume, their pay model is better, which is Corner Shop, which is basically just grocery shopping for Uber. But the way that they compensate you for, the item count, the mileage to the store, mileage to the customer, the weight of the item. So if you're getting a bunch of cases of water, you're getting a little bit extra for that. I mean, I think that's not in a lot of markets. I'm not sure if it's in all of your markets yet.
No, it's not available in my market. It's available in North Jersey, not South Jersey, unfortunately. Like I'm dying to get on, and I'm like, nope, not there. Deliver That's not available in my area. There's
That's another one,
a couple of them that aren't just not available in South Jersey. North Jersey, closer to like the city, they're available, just not by me. And I feel like I'm missing out.
Like Pokemon, you got to catch them all.
I know.
I just got to say one thing. Kim actually helped me. You know, being her gracious self, she actually helped me get on Spark. So I asked her, I say, hey, what's the number to the customer, to the Spark helpline? Because it took a long time for me to get on. And so I was like, let me call that line. And then they gave me an email to somebody. So if you need that email, John, I got you. I got somebody that works in Spark. I emailed her and she got me on within like a week.
I may have to reach out to you. I just did like a little, what do you call, open a ticket basically.
No,
and
I
emailed
someone directly that works there for DDI. Email someone directly.
So I did do that. So the person that reached out to me a year ago, I initially emailed them. They didn't get back to me because I think I'll lose the outside email at this point. But after I opened that ticket, then they got back to me. So I got a person in DDI again. But let's see. You know, it's I have until I think 7 days will be this Friday. So if I'm not on by this Friday, I'll reach out to you next week.
I got you, my man. But yeah, Kim helped me on that, so I didn't ever give her props.
Hey. Yes, but it took me, like, I was on the wait list for Spark. I mean, granted, it wasn't in my area, but I'm like, I'll travel to do Spark. I don't care where I have to travel. So I signed up for it, and they wouldn't allow me to sign up because my home was too far away from the stores that were available. And it took them 6 months to finally get the email and get back to me to get me on the Spark.
That's crazy. Sounds like everybody goes through an experience with them.
Yeah.
I was told the exact same thing about Grubhub too. I was told, like, you know, I was just about to start the my shipped Instacart challenge, and everybody knows who won. But I was just about to start that, and I still wasn't on Grubhub. It was the one I just never signed up for, and everybody's like, "Oh, you need to do that because it's going to take a year to get on it." And I was like, I'd heard about the wait list, but I'm like, but I just don't care. And maybe, I don't know, you know, yes, I agree with what Kim says. Always have your full arsenal ready. You never know. And so I was just kind of in that mode of like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. It's going to take a year. Okay. I was approved the next morning.
I am so jealous. It took me a year and a half to get onto Grubhub. I started the application pre-pandemic, and I literally just got on a year ago.
Wow.
Wow.
I mean, that's not rare. I know a lot of people who waited a year. I mean, a lot. And they were like, you know, when I told them, they're like, no, you didn't. I'm like, dude, I signed up and I don't even know how they had time to run my background check. I guess they probably just went off another one that had been run recently or something, because it was like, you know, I mean, if you have somebody run with Checker, I know that they're not supposed to do this. You know, I know that they're supposed to run it every time you ask them, but like, you know, if they say, well, look, you just ran it for Corner Shop like 3 weeks ago, he's good. You probably didn't commit a crime in that time. It's all good.
John can probably talk about this more than I can, but I just got on to Shipt, and to me, I mean, they've been around for a while, and people have been on Shipt for a while, but I'm new to it, but I feel like they got their act, together. Like, I feel like they're very consistent with their model and their payouts, and like I feel like they are consistent where other apps are, you have your peaks and your highs and your lows. I feel like from what I've seen in the past month or so I've had them, they're pretty consistent with their model and how they operate. But John's the expert, but that's just what I've seen from Shipt.
John has more on me, but John and I have actually talked Shipt before. Mine is tapered off. I'm not gonna say it's down, but John does have some really good insights on it.
I think the biggest thing with the Shipt is it's good as long as your ratings are good. If your ratings start to fall off, you're going to have more challenges. And the other thing with the Shipt is it favors people who do a lot of Shipt. The more member matches, the more preferred customers you have. It favors the people who do good and who do a lot of Shipt. That's, it's kind of the rich get richer type of thing.
John, how long have you been on Shipt?
So I got on Shipt since October, November last year. So it's been 6, 7. I can't count, but
I
I feel
got
like
a-
that's over 6 months.
I got a funny story about Shipped. So I have this giant beard, and I applied for Shipped a couple times, and they wouldn't hire me. And this is back in like 2018, 19, somewhere around there. And maybe it was a little later. I don't know. But for one reason or another, I shaved my beard off completely, and I reapplied, and they hired me with no facial hair. They would not hire me with this beard.
Is that a thing? Can people discriminate against facial hair?
I think
you're an independent contractor. Man.
Well, before the pandemic, it was hard to get on Shipped. Like there were a lot of stories out there where they were like they only like women on their platform and stuff like that. But I thought it was hilarious. The second I shaved the beard, I was like, well, I'm going to quick apply because I'm going to grow this back. And so now if I do Shipped, the face doesn't match up to my my profile because it's completely.
What do you deliver it? You're like, well, okay.
No one, they don't pay attention. Are you kidding me? They don't give a shit.
No, half the time they don't even see you because like I think outside of maybe once or twice as the person that I'm delivering to actually met me at their door.
Right. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. But I know they had that big hiring boom when the pandemic hit and they needed so many workers. They probably didn't care at that point.
I mean, the Shipped hiring process is definitely more so it's too in depth compared to all the other gig apps.
Do they
like
still
a video interview and all that?
Okay.
At least last time when I applied, they did all that. I'm like, really?
They did that with me too.
And the real, that's to me, that was like that's crossing a very close employee model line.
You think?
Those long answers that you're typing out in the interview, it's like, dude, why do you? That's not how you do an independent contract. You don't interview them. You get their bed. And you. Well,
I mean,
it's screening. I think.
I would say,
but in an on-demand economy like this, I don't think that we're so.
I've actually interviewed for Target in my career. I've actually interviewed for Target, and it was the most in-depth interview and structured interview I've ever been in my life. So if it's going by how I've interviewed for Target, like I feel like they're a very structured company. So to me, it almost models what they do when they're actually hiring like regularly for Target, just based off of my interview experience with them.
Well, this when I interviewed with them with not Target, but with Shipped, it was before Target even owned it. Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, I thought that's where the start came from, was Target.
No.
Target. I know Target bought them. I know they existed before, but I didn't know
about them old.
Before Target bought them.
So do y'all like Shipped? Because I applied and then I got the card and the shirt, and then it's just been radio silence ever since.
You got it. You definitely you got to make it work. So for me, like I've told John and other things, like there's a bunch of ways to make it work. For me, I like it because there's one specific, like this is just my area, not just my market, but this specific situation. There's a Target by me where if I go turn on in that Target, I can just do loops back to there all day. And every time I get back there, there's more orders for me. And again, it might be part of what even John was referencing with the algorithm liking you doing more and more and more. I think they even like the fact that I'm coming back to the same Target. Like this guy just does circles. This is great. Because every time I would get back there, I'd get another 3 orders to choose from.
Yeah, I would say definitely somewhat depends on your market, but I have the same market kind of like he's describing, like kind of like Steve was describing, where I can, I live maybe a mile away from a Target, and then there's probably a couple grocery stores and CVS's. So I get a good mix of orders in my market just being in this area. Now, I've also seen some people who don't have that good of a market, and it's just like one Target or one grocery store really spread out. Then it's going to be a lot more challenging. Then, of course, you got to have the order volume like with any app. So, but when you're getting all things clicking, it definitely, and you're getting the bonuses too, which is something that's big for me. Is I might get like complete 6 orders, get an extra $40. And then, that's on top of it, not like Instacart where it's a guarantee. So it's, you're getting decent base pays, and their base pay scales depending on order size and yada, yada, yada. Not as good as Corner Shop, but it does some scale. So I think it has upside. I'll say that. It definitely has that upside. And if you can play that upside, you can win big. So,
yeah.
I say, I just feel like sometimes with like, at least with my, and maybe it was half backwards when I signed up for shit. I feel like they teased you a little bit when you signed up for shit because they sent my stuff, like my t-shirt and my card before my background check even came back. So like I had everything and then I'm like, it can't work. Like, what's the purpose? But the funny thing is like, I actually got like the background check actually emailed me like 5 days before saying I was cleared, before a shift even said, okay, you're ready to go. And I'm like, well, thanks, delayed reaction.
Yeah, that same thing actually happened to me. It's funny you mentioned that. I feel like I got that background check cleared, and then they didn't get back to me. I was like, hey, you cleared my background check. Like, no, it says we're still waiting. Then I had to literally forward them the email of the cleared background check. Like, oh, okay, you good to go.
Checker is just the worst company. Like if we could see their ratings, it would blow our minds. It'd be like a 1-star in the App Store.
The Better Business Bureau for them.
You know what's really weird about the Better Business Bureau, though, you guys, is that a lot of times some of the sketchiest businesses have a good rating with them. It's very weird. I mean, if you go look that stuff up, it's almost like it makes them like, who cares what you guys say? Because really, they're a good business. Like you could pick a business you know is horrible, and if you could find it on there, they might give them like an A rating. But I like Shipt. I like the fact that they lay out the aisles. I like the fact that it's really easy. There's no just screwing around. You know what I mean? So that's another bonus too, is that you can and during the holidays, you know, being able to swap out, because you're usually, you know, like at least I signed on about the same time John did, and I did a lot of it over the holidays, and I was able to swap out gifts because you guys probably know everything was out. You'd go to like the Lego area, and you'd like they actually have 3 things that they want. You're like, there's 2 things total on the shelves. So, but then you can swap those out. You know, if it's another job, like my favorite is curry. Okay, I can make whole days sometimes out of curry, but so but it's another one where like you know, if you're working it right, if you're communicating with the customers, the tips can be good. I know I've heard a lot of people lately saying that the tips aren't as good. Even John McCallion was saying that. I see him in the chat that he just hasn't seen the tips yet, and I've seen them go down a little, but I think tips have gone down across the board. Sadly, I don't know.
I had an order with Shipt that it was it started off with, forget how many items, but the lady just kept adding and adding and adding, and I kept substituting and substituting, and I'm like, this is going to be awesome. It ended up being like a $400 shop order for this lady, and she actually gave me really good customer service score, but 0 tip. So I don't blame Shipt for it. I blame the customer. It's the customer's fault that they didn't tip, but like it kind of leaves like a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth because you did all like, it literally took me almost an hour to shop for this lady because it was like substitute. And then she would say she wanted a substitute, but then she would change her mind. Like it was like probably the most biggest pain in the butt customer you can possibly imagine. And nope, no tip.
That's why I like Spark, because you don't have to communicate with the customer. You're just like,
that's the
substitute, not my problem, don't care. Like, I mean, I try to do what I can for the customer, but I mean, like, you know, it's just like that's the worst part of Shipt is the communication, and I understand it. There's a place for it, but oh my gosh, I would never make money on Shipt now with the new payouts the way they are. It would be too. It's so freaking stressful. Shipt. I mean, it was so stressful. I did not like it. I'm like, give me the Walmart like anytime.
That's the one thing with Shipt I will say that stress because you want to keep that rating up. I mean, once you have that customer in hand, it's like they may be a pain, but it's like, I don't want to do this, but I need to keep my rating at a 5.
I know. It's very frustrating. And I mean, I would literally have pit sweat. I'd be like anxiety sweat shopping for Shipt. But Walmart, I'm just like, hey man, it's cool. Like I don't have, you know, I don't know. It's just much more easygoing, and that's good for me. So
I have a gig related question for everybody. And would you rather carry 3 cases of water to like a house that doesn't have steps, or 2 bags of groceries to a 3rd floor apartment?
Water.
2 bags of groceries to a 3rd floor apartment.
Water. I have a cart. I put a cart.
3rd floor.
I'm 3rd floor all the way.
3rd floor. I hate Water. Oh, that's
Yes.
as soon as I see water, I'm like, I'm done.
You know, I guess too many years working in the bar for me. I got 30 years plus in the bar. I'm used to throwing things over my shoulders and just not even thinking about it.
Yeah, but it's 3. And those things.
But
are
it's
bulky.
no steps house.
Well, you can't just chuck it. I mean, you
actually, during
the
the pandemic, that we joke about that a lot on here. That the UK you still had to hand them food and stuff, and we went to the chuck it in the dirt model. So you actually can't chuck it.
Say that I actually had a couple weeks ago. It was a spark water, and it was 2 cases of like the 40 cases of like water from Walmart. And I got there, and the lady's like, "I'm sorry, I'm on the 3rd floor," and I'm like, "Oh, really?" So I'm thinking, how do I get this upstairs? But okay,
Ouch!
I can't use the cart because the cart can't go upstairs, so I'm gonna have to lift it. So the lady's like, "Don't worry, I'm sending my sons down to help you," and I'm like, "Oh, thank God!" But oh wait, the sons came down. One was 5 and one was 6, and I'm like, I'm not gonna make these kids carry like these 40 cases of water. I can barely carry them. Never along a 5-year-old and 6-year-old. So
Hey.
I don't know why, but I think those kids have done it before. I think they're probably strong kids.
And Kim, miss opportunity to videotape those kids being strong and carrying the water up. Like that could have gone viral.
As a mom, I couldn't make, like, my daughter is 5. I couldn't make someone my daughter's age carry a 40.
But it's not your daughter.
They took their Flintstones vitamins.
Maybe those kids did something bad. The mom's like, "You go down and get all that water."
Well, the funny thing is, the 6-year-old goes, "Oh, Mom ordered water again."
I told you they did it before.
Yep.
Well, you know how much. Here's the bottom line. I mean, it's no secret that the person who lives on the 3rd floor, after a certain time living up there, is like, "I hate living on the 3rd floor."
Yeah,
and that's
you
why
come
they
home
call
from
for
work
the
and sit in your
grocery.
car for half an hour and be like,
you gotta talk yourself. You gotta have a pep talk for yourself to get up the stairs.
3rd floors are the worst. 2nd floor is fine, but 3rd floor, you're like, you know what? I have a catering bag, so I put them things in the catering bag and I deliver it. I try to get one trip. Yeah.
Yep.
3rd floors are the worst. Like, I curse those people silently as soon as I'm walking up the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a 3rd floor apartment.
Huh?
If you know you have a 3rd floor apartment, you like from our standpoint, you're like, there's going to be a case of water on this.
Facts. Every time. It's like, it's a case of water and they got a whole bunch of groceries that just don't make sense. And it's like, I'm on the 3rd floor.
Or they get a 40 case of water plus a whole bunch of like gallon jugs that you can only take like 2 at a time. Like that's like the worst.
That happened to me, Kim. I have 40, but luckily it was just like one step. It was just a stoop I had to put it on. But I was like, what did I sign up for? I took a picture and posted it on YouTube on the YouTube community. And Nugs was like, was that $40? I was like, nope. I was like, I'm just an idiot.
So wait, so Cody and Autumn, Cody, I just had that up on the screen. Did you literally tell the person, did you tell them they had to come down and get it?
Maybe I need to do that.
He said, it was a 4th. I'm looking forward to it. It was a 4th store. It was a 4th floor.
I mean, does it actually say in our contract that we have to deliver door to door? I mean, what like any of us have ever read it, but I mean, I'm just saying, does it actually require us to deliver it to the door? I don't know.
Yeah, but
all I gotta say is thank God I'm a pretty fit person, but 5 foot nothing, carrying 40 things of water.
But I also know that Cody and Autumn up in Alaska, these guys, they're awesome, and he normally would do this. So I'm kind of surprised, like that he was. So I guess put it in the chat. I gotta know. Was it did you literally just call them and say, "Look, I'm not doing this"?
I would have never thought of that to call. That's a smart thing. If it's like 4 cases of water, it's the 3rd floor, mate. Yo, you have to come on down. But they'll be like contactless or something, and it's like, oh, great.
I saw a Facebook post from somebody who actually was a Spark driver, and they had ordered 3 cases of water. I'm like, come on, as a Spark driver, like, why would you do that? But the driver just left the cases of water right, like, where the car was and just dumped it and said, here's your water.
Well, here's his answer. Wait.
Oh, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, me too.
Oh yeah, I don't blame you.
So
I'm surprised they were going to let you in and bring it up in the first place.
yeah, quick story, and you can move on, Steve, if you want. But we have an actual castle in our city. It's the stupidest thing that people live in. Like, it's an apartment building. It's all concrete. I should take a picture. You guys would shit your pants how crazy it is. But anyways, you will die in there if you go in there and deliver food. It's so confusing that I won't deliver it. I'll tell people, you come down and meet me, and if they say no, I say, well, here it is. I take a picture and I drive away, like right at the entrance. It's that confusing in there. So that's the only time I've ever done that. But no, it's not the Bob John. He was listening last night.
Sorry, Michigan joke.
Yeah.
Grand Rapids joke.
But yeah, I definitely it's so confusing. I mean, you will have to bring water and a snack, otherwise you'll die in that place. That's how confusing it is to manage it. But I've never done that with groceries, so
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think, if I lived up on the 4th floor and I ordered Spark or something, and my Spark driver got there and he's just like, yo, can you come down? I'd be like, no. I'm pretty sure I ordered it to my door. I mean, like, I'm not gonna be a jerk. I would if I needed to help him, but I mean, like, isn't that? I guess that's part of the why nobody wants the apartments and stuff. But it's just part of the gig. If you accidentally accept one, or if you don't start marking that that's an apartment building, even in your head, whatever, and not to take those, that's just a live and learn is how I see it. Because it's, I don't know. We've talked about this before. I feel like too many people like drop orders, and maybe it's not as bad as it used to be, but like all this kind of stuff. And I get it if it's going to be like another 10, 15 minutes, but if you're there and it's going to be like 3, just follow through. I just always have been weirded out by that. Maybe it's coming from Rideshare that just kind of always gave me a weird taste. Like, dude, why are 3 different drivers trying to figure out who's going to get the food to me?
Right. Question.
Why?
I can't remember if Spark, does it tell you the address before you go?
Yeah.
You know it's an apartment before you accept it?
Yes.
I can't remember. I haven't done any gig
It
work
doesn't
since
specifically tell you it's an apartment, but usually it'll be like apartment number 2 or like building number, like you can figure it out. I personally have learned to just put in Google Maps what the address is, so I actually see what the house is, or whether it's a house or apartment, because I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting stuck doing this.
I don't see why they don't just come up. I mean, this would be good for kind of everybody too, is to figure out some way of like keeping the food somewhere when you pull in, especially to the huge apartment complex type things and stuff. Find some way to like have some like warmer boxes, like those
like Amazon lockers for food.
Yeah, exactly. Amazon lockers for food, exactly. So that you could just leave it there, because I mean, people like roaming around the place trying to figure it out always isn't the best solution either. I don't know.
No, I will say though, that's the one thing about a corner shop. You do not know the address until after you pick it up, until after you've done the shopping. That is the only fear, is that the worst of the worst happens.
Now, do you know how many miles it is, or you just don't know? Does it say like you're at the store is 4 miles, but you don't really know where the address is at?
Yeah, it just gives you the miles. It'll say like 2 miles to the store, and then another 4 miles to the customer, and this zip code. But like you get, it's like a reveal. So when you get to the store, you get to know. Oh, it tells you how many items are on the list and how much it weighs, but it doesn't tell you what the items are. So you have to become like a reader. Like if you see 50 pounds, it's like, okay, there's at least a case of water on there. So you have to like become like, okay, this is probably a case of water, some cases of soda. It's only 5 items here, but it weighs 75 pounds. You kind of figured out what it is.
Dash and Grandpa said just order 1 case of water at a time. Wouldn't it be nice if they had like a limit of how many water cases like a customer could actually purchase?
They should. Yes. I don't know why they don't.
They should. It's annoying. Water is the worst thing that. Yeah.
He's speechless.
I hate it. Oh, it gets on my nerves. And then they fall. You carry them, and they fall out, and then you have to go pick them up, and it's like I don't feel bad for that one water getting destroyed.
No, that's your tip. You just drink that water.
Or like if it really fell and it's spinning and you just kick it. You just
I'm like, no, they just have 23 in this case. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, email support, not my problem.
Okay, hold on. I'm just reading the chat, and yes, it is water.
Well, it's not water. With a D?
Water. It's water.
That's the Midwest accent. I'm sorry.
So as we diss on all these things, Kim, you want to tell us about Grubhub, the hostage negotiator?
Yeah, it was crazy this week when I was reading the article, and it was kind of all over the news. So I feel like a lot of people already know about this. But so this lady was being held hostage, and I'm a little confused on this part because I felt like it's like the world's dumbest criminal allowing your hostage to order Grubhub. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but she had put in the notes to the restaurant saying basically, this is actually, it says, please call the police. He's going to call me when you deliver. Come with cones. I'm assuming she meant cops. Please don't make it obvious. So the restaurant, and it was like 5 a.m. in the morning. So the restaurant, thank God, was open to actually receive the order, saw the message, and the lady got rescued, thank God. But the person who held her captive was like not a good person. Like, I don't even know how he was out on the streets after the charges that he actually had against him. So the lady used Grubhub to her advantage and got her to safety and got her rescued. So thank God she got rescued.
Here's a question I have about that though. So, and I'm glad it happened, obviously, but I mean, like, did they not contact her? Did they just take, like, what if some kid pranked on the Grubhub app that? Because I'm assuming a bunch of cops showed up.
Yeah, but you gotta do it. Like, they're not.
I get it.
She's trying to do it on the DL. You can't just call her back. Like, you're gonna blow her cover.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm just, I mean, did they treat it like, did they send one cop car, or did they treat it like, hey, this is big?
Let's then SWAT over.
Yeah, well, hopefully it wasn't Uvalde police. So sorry.
Yeah. So I'm just saying the funny thing, because this is, I don't know how I can say this, but I was gonna say, the thing is, I'm thinking came to my mind is like the driver who's like, instructions, do this, and this. It was like unassigned. There had to have been one. I just felt like there had to have been. This is wrong, but I feel like there had to have been. I don't know. I hope there was none.
I'm not dealing with this shit
tonight. First thing that came to my mind when I saw like the screenshot of like what the order had. I was like, man,
100%.
I would unassigned. I'm not gonna lie, but like, I don't get paid enough for this. Now it feels a decent paying order. I'm like, I got to see it through, but it feels like,
wow. Do you think that they actually tip if they're holding someone hostage?
It's like, oh shoot, $40 for 2 miles. I'm taking that.
I didn't want to get into this, because once you get into that, you're not going to deliver the rest of the night. Your night's over.
Oh yeah.
I kind of think, and there's a house around my area that I deliver. They still have their stuff from Halloween that like it's like on their door, and it says like I forget what it says, but it's something like, oh, should I take this? Like, if you didn't know the house and you were just delivering, you're like, oh, should I actually take this seriously? Like, or like it says like, do not enter. I forget what it says, but it's something like crazy like that. But it was from Halloween and they never took it down. But we're also used to seeing it. But if you're like a delivery driver that has never seen this house, would you be like, 911? I'm at a house that says this?
Yeah, you should try do Amazon Flex in the country. Like, shit, that's common in the hillbilly country. Like, you drive up, it's like, do not drive on my property. You will be shot. There's cameras everywhere. I'm like, bro, I'm just delivering your pills from Amazon or whatever.
You're like this, getting out of the car with your hands up in your food. You're like, I just have the food. I'm going to put it down.
Y'all, no, I got a story. I got a story for y'all. I don't know which political way you go, but I'm not trying to get political. But I had a trifecta I had to deliver to. It was a Trump flag, a Don't Tread on Me flag, and a Confederate flag.
Oh,
I was like, I'm not gonna make it. The trifecta on the lawn. I was like, I'm just gonna go up there as quick as I can, drop the food, and go.
Yeah.
Did you get all the flags in the picture? Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was like, I took a picture. I was like,
you turn on your camera. Like, I'm just a screenshot.
I like live streamed on TikTok. Was like, yo, I'm gonna make it.
Just be like,
Yeah.
Wait, I was like, I was
delivered.
I was scared. Delivered. Get me out of here.
I'm telling you, man. If you do flex, you're taking your life in your own hands because the shit gets crazy out there. We've had drivers get held up by guns in Grand Rapids, but I mean, no, not in the city. It's like obviously there's no really boondocks in Grand Rapids, but like the outskirts, you know what I mean? But yeah, they've got guns, not hold up like they're getting robbed, but like, what are you doing on my property? I think it's a little less common now that everyone gets Amazon delivery now. It's not as much like that. But for a while there, when I first started doing flex, I didn't deliver at night. I just didn't want to deal with it because, you know, you're driving up in the middle of the night. I mean, sometimes these delivers are 9:30 in the middle of winter. People are like, who's driving up my driveway in the middle of winter at 9:30 at night, you know? So
yeah. So
you're like, you ordered it, dude.
Well, he don't remember. He was drunk when he ordered it. Like,
or the customers there are like, oh, go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, because I was reading this article talking about how the gig economy and gig work is like the most essential thing now with, what is it, something almost 40%, over 40% of people saying that like it's an essential part of their lifestyle now, which is, it's kind of interesting because I took a poll on my channel like a month back and it was like, how long have you been in the gig economy? And then the two biggest categories were like 2 to 3 years, which is, I think a lot of people started in 2020, and then 0 to 6 months. So there's a lot of new drivers that are just encountering these situations and go to these places. And it's like, yeah, you're going to have a steep learning curve.
This lady, though, I have to say, just kind of going back to the lady, she's lucky that Grubhub was on time with her order. They're usually behind by like 10, 20 minutes. So they were on time.
Grubhub usually takes a solid hour.
I can't even imagine, like, Cody, what you might have to put up with, like, out in the back, an hour north of Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah.
With this kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I would just chuck it over the fence.
Yeah, he probably.
It's your Amazon.
Cody, let me know what part of Alaska you're from.
Cody, I think you need a drone to do like the deliveries, like get the drone for your car or your truck, and then like drone deliver it to the customer's house.
It was actually super smart. You might not get that drone back eventually. Somebody's gonna shoot that down. Right?
Cody lives in a town just north of Anchorage. It's where Palin's from.
Oh, Wasilla?
Wasilla,
I don't think I knew that.
So I'm originally from Alaska. That's why I'm
I was like, how's this dude know so much about Alaska? I was like impressed. I was like, whoa.
We said what's a Sarah Palin. I was like,
John here.
In fact, I thought he was pulling my leg, but he was telling us about Sarah Palin is right now. She's going for a government seat up there, and this is no joke. She is running against a guy, Santa Claus, who, if you look him up, spot on. Santa Claus, spot on. And he's from North Pole, Alaska.
I hope Santa Claus.
That is the person she's running against. So when you pull him up, it shows Sarah Palin and Santa Claus. So all I was thinking of was like, God, if she wins, like just the headlines, Palin wrecks Christmas forever.
It really is Santa Claus. It's kind of crazy. I just Googled it.
Dude, it's not even a joke. It's him. It's not. I thought it was going to be close, but I had no idea.
Oh my gosh,
this is the real Santa Claus.
That is him. I hope he wins. Bring joy.
I gotta Google it.
Hey, John, I got a question for you. So
Sure.
I looked up on how close America is to Russia, and Alaska is the closest thing. It's like 50 miles. And they kind of scared me a little bit. I was like, uh-oh. It's like, uh-oh. I was like, we're pretty close to Russia if you do that. I was like, uh-oh, that's bad.
No, that was the funniest thing. I remember when she was running and people I'd meet in Arizona would be like, so was it true you can really walk over there? I'd look at him and be like, yes, I've done it a couple times. just to troll people. You can ask me that question, I'm gonna troll you back.
But she was running. I think she was kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie.
She wasn't. I'll say she was. She's not ugly.
Yeah, I mean, you got her or Hillary Clinton.
Her daughter's more my age range, but okay.
Yeah, well, yeah. You saying I'm old?
I'm saying different age ranges.
You're more seasoned. How about
We
that?
could be wingmen. You could be my
I don't even know
wingman.
how old she is.
I am
I'm
totally
the oldest
out of
here.
this conversation.
I'm the old man here.
What'd you say, Kim?
Yeah. This was the hostage negotiation. I don't know, and somehow we're talking about Santa Claus and Palin. That's what happens.
Talk about a left turn.
Segue, digress.
She's 58. Damn. Sorry, I'm in a rabbit hole currently.
Well, she said versus Santa Claus. Everybody had to Google it, and then we
Yeah,
just
I
went down
did.
this rabbit hole. Now we're like, oh.
Now you have like literally everybody Googling Santa Claus and Sarah Palin.
Yeah.
Right, it's like it's trending right now.
Well, after Yost's reaction, I was like, all right, now I gotta freaking look at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm all about the reactions. I really hope this guy wins. Like, I am gonna do whatever I can on my TikTok for Santa Claus to win in Alaska. Like, he has got to win.
Get it on TikTok. He probably will win somehow.
Yes, he's gonna win. He's gonna do it.
I mean, how can he not win too? I mean, how could you not go in there and vote against Santa?
You might imagine your grandkids or kids. Who did you vote for, Grandpa? You voted against Santa?
Yeah, you kids are too soft.
I voted for Krampus.
But yeah, when you look it up too, it really is just the icing on the cake that he literally, no joke, is from North Pole, Alaska, the city of.
He's at Medicare for all too. I'm like, wow, this Santa guy's really, doing his thing.
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal, all right. You can really write letters to Santa, and it will actually go to him.
So before John jumps on the more critical gig work, I really, really quickly want to mention something. So we, I got to just bring up another state that they did it. We just talked last week, and I'll make it quick, about Massachusetts shooting down even the right to vote to stay independent. So now they're just going to move to the union model. So Pennsylvania just did it today too. It's Senate Bill 949. If you look it up.
You said the right to vote, to even have a choice whether to stay independent or not. They don't have that even choice.
Right. So do you remember, the H1234 was like their Prop 22, and they were already starting to fund it before the election because they knew, okay, we're going to need a vote on this. So they've been taking in money. They had already taken in $17.5 million for this. And that's from Lyft, Instacart, the same players that put in the $208 million out in California to make Prop 22. Same players were starting to fund this. They were up to about $17.5 million, and they've been like really hitting to the streets and letting people know and running TV ads and things about how, we need to stop this. You need to stay independent. And then they decided last week that, well, and you got to remember, Massachusetts is it's like one of the top 2 union states. So they basically decided, you know what, that thing that you guys all have all the buzz about, that vote you're going to have in November on whether or not you want this exception, we've decided it's best that we just take care of it for you. And we're just not going to allow it to be on the ballot.
Wow.
That's crazy.
And I mean, this, to me, it was like, that's not even entry level. That's like mid-grade socialism, if not high-end socialism. I mean, that's so they dangled it in front of them too. Like, hey, don't worry, you guys are going to be able to vote on this. Don't worry, if that's what you want, you can vote on it. Same thing as California. And they thought nobody's going to want this Prop 22, and it won by 3 million votes. That's a big percentage in California, 3 million votes, even though it's a big state. That's a big percentage. So I think that now these other states, and like Pennsylvania following it, to like yesterday I saw it, they're just trying to now make it so that, well, it's a constitutional violation, and we're going to go back to the old Labor Act rights of like 1904. We're going to go precede the Barella test, move to the ABC test so that nobody can be an independent contractor. And everybody, you guys know I talk about this stuff a lot, and I talked about California a lot before it happened. Now we're already, I mean, now Seattle did it. Now Massachusetts has just shut down even the right to vote on it. And now Pennsylvania's doing it now too. So I said this was coming. I mean, it's coming quick too. Like these states are like, they will have, after they go into effect, they will have the ability to repeal it a year later. So, but for a year, basically in Massachusetts, for a year, if you work gig work now, I don't see any way around how, and I as much as I hate to say this, because I don't want to see this happen to anybody, but California Prop 22 is like the example. You know, like, oh, look, Prop 22, see how it works. Everybody's getting paid more. Everybody loves it. Oh, it's all great. Well, you know, Cody on one of his videos was talking about this. Yeah, we're incentivizing the rest. We're incentivizing California from the rest of the country right now. So, I mean, it really isn't working. But now you're going to go to Massachusetts and do the same thing. And you're just, without the vote, you're going to force the union hand. So I almost feel like this one might blow up a little bit, unlike Seattle or California. That's just, it's just a mess and you don't want to touch it. But I feel like this one might blow up. This one might come back to haunt them. I think that people, you know, like they'll watch because the unions are going to tear this apart. I've been, you know, we've wanted the unions to be kept away, but maybe people need to see what the unions are going to do here to really understand what this is.
I think people don't like it when you take away their choices. So I think even if we'll say some crazy scenario where people do even love the unions, it's not going to be, I think it's two things actually. Excuse me. I don't think it'll be the majority of gig workers that like the unions. I think it'll be more people who are maybe transitory, people that are in it. But once they realize that, okay, I have to pay the union and all these different things, I mean, we'll have to see what comes out of it. But I don't think the majority of gig workers that are long-term gig workers especially are going to want that.
You're 100% right. It's always the minority. Like, you see everything, you see, like Twitter, for example, you see people complaining about something and everyone thinks that's, you know, we need to change because they say that. It's a small percentage that want that change. And I kind of feel like that's the same way with gig workers. You see a few of them wanting this, but most people, especially the people that are part-time, they're like, we don't want any of this shit. But for whatever reason, it gets changed, and it's kind of frustrating.
What's that vocal minority versus that silent majority? Those are the two things, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you're dealing with like Jason just said, 85% of them are part-time, work 20 hours or less on the gig platforms a week. So we can already tell, we already all know those people don't make their living on gig work because you can't do that part-time. You can't. So, okay, so they have another job. They probably don't even follow any of this until it happens. It's like AB5 took even the best of them off guard. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know it was coming. They knew it was a law. They didn't know about it. Well, I feel like that's what happens with all of them. So then you just take the other 15% remaining, and even they say that's small. So they even said that here's the article about it that I had pulled up, that while a recent poll shows that drivers for flexibility over reclassification labor advocates are skeptical to let the gig economy do this. Now, they say that the poll they ran said 74% of drivers said they prefer maintaining their schedule flexibility over typical employment benefits. So right there, this is Pennsylvania. This is where Senate Bill 949 happened. So right there, they're saying that 74% of the people already said, we want to stay flexible. Let's just have it on the ballot. It was after that they said, let's not let it go to vote.
Let's see, that's something shady about that.
Big time, dude. Big time.
And I will never agree to unionization or union work as a gig worker. Like to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like to have someone speak for what we do, it diminishes kind of our independence as independent contractors. Like I don't know. I will never be one for unionization of any kind of gig work.
Yeah, no, never. But yeah, so like what's her name? Lindsay Williams. These app-based employers have used their power over the employees to push push this misclassification agenda. You know, I don't know what they all think. I don't know why these states, and I was saying this before, you got bad people in office. You got bad people on both sides of the fence, but you got enough people that you would think that some common sense would come out at these meetings where people are like, well, we can't just not let them vote now. I mean, that seems like a pretty, like, I would be like, excuse me. Like, you know,
Steve, what's common sense, man? It doesn't happen anymore.
It's very uncommon.
It's very uncommon.
But if they've let Uber, Lyft, Instacart, all these companies put in $17.5 million, and they've kind of like, that's like they've accepted the challenge. Okay, we'll put it on the bill. They've let them canvass, do all this stuff. They've ran polls. And now they're like, you know what? It's not looking good for us. Let's just take it. I understand that when it gets dirty around this time of year and stuff with this stuff, but to just take it off the bill is
that's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope that, you know, as much as I'm not a big supporter of the Giants, I would hope that now they spend a lot of money asking, why did you even let us spend $17.5 million then? Or where did that go? Or any of that kind of stuff. But anyway, it's just another state. You know, we've talked about that New York's going to be going through changes. Kim State's up for some changes. It just needs to stop, you guys. I think that I keep bringing it up because I hope that you guys just take it in on any level, like, because it is happening. It's not me saying the sky is falling and like, look at California, sky is falling. It's happening all over the country right now. And there's a lot of other states that are getting ready to do these same type things. So beware and fight it, you know, if you want to stay independent. And I think you all do.
Yes.
Because the unions will lie. They'll do whatever they need to try and get into our pockets and take more money.
Of course, because they want to line their own pockets.
Yeah, they're their own business. Exactly.
They want them dues, man. They want them dues, and they'll say, "Oh, we'll get you this bit," and it's not worth it. At the end of my shift, if I want to do one order, I want to log off and call it a day. You know, I want to be done. Or if I want to do two orders, I want to call it a day and be done. You know, having someone tell you what to do, you know, that's kind of the complete opposite of why we do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also the thing that if you have to pay money to make money, sounds like a scam to me.
Facts.
Yeah.
What was that rideshare? Ah, damn it! You beat me to it. I was like, what was
I read your mind, man.
Yeah.
I always think of the upside down triangle whenever I'm like, dude, I can't believe their logo was an upside down triangle and it was a pyramid scheme. It's
a network triangle. It's a network triangle.
Yes.
But don't show them it's a pyramid. How about I just flip it over?
Yeah.
Okay, they won't get that. Yeah, let's do that.
We're stupid.
But John, what were you looking at? The gig workers are more critical now.
So it's that the gig economy is more critical for over 40% of workers. So essentially, people, because of inflation, rising cost, that are doing gig work part-time, before they said, okay, maybe I want it for some extra money, but now they're doing it because they need to make ends meet. So it's becoming a critical part of not only, you know, their lifestyle, but of just, you know, staying above water, just trying to make ends meet, which is, you know, I think maybe how some people started. Some people wanted to do it, typically had a short time frame in mind, but now it's become where people are trying to figure out long-term, prices are still going up. You know, I got to do extra work, and it's unfortunate, but it's a way of life for a lot of people, and it's become a critical way of life. So now I think you're going to see, you know, a lot more platforms get saturated. Of course, I think one of the things that we talked about earlier, how a lot of people are getting on the Spark, I think you're seeing a lot of people go onto these grocery apps because it's less mileage than all the food delivery apps. So you're seeing more migration towards those apps as well. So that was the big thing. And, you know, I know when I go out and I'm doing my gig work, you know, I don't see a lot of corner shop shoppers in my area, which I'm, you know, keeping that as kind of my best kept secret. I'll tell people all about Shipped All the Day in my area. I'll tell them about everything else. But, you know, it's becoming very challenging, becoming dire for some people. I don't know if you're seeing different things. What are you guys' opinions on that?
Well, I mean, I for one think that one of my worries, and first of all, about the corner shop thing, I agree with you. They're not here around me yet, but I feel like they sneak into an area and they don't even I feel like it's very guerrilla marketing. Like you have to hear it from another driver or something. Like, hey, corner shops here. You know what I mean? It's like they really don't overnight flood it. I don't know what
They
it
don't. I
is.
haven't seen any corner shop advertising. I think the only time I've even heard about it is watching other channels.
Yeah, and so I like that. But back to the 41%. I think that my biggest worry with that was that means all those extra people who are going to take crappy orders. I was just thinking about that, and it's just going to make them make orders even crappier. Because they're used to oversaturation. They know all these analytics. They play them as they come in. Okay, we're getting oversaturated at this percent. We have we can hold a certain percent of people for 4 to 6 months, some longer, but the usual lifespan of a new DoorDasher is X. They've got all this down. They know how that works to their advantage. To have the market in the state it's in and to have 41% more needing this, is is it going to become dollar base pays?
I don't see it getting any better before it gets worse. That's what I feel like. It's one of those situations where the lowest common denominator, especially with a lot of these bonuses, we have to do an astronomical number of orders in 30 days. So people are going to take those orders because they're thinking in their head, well, technically with this, bonus, it's really not a $3 order, it's a $5 order. Because, honestly, the bonus really isn't. That's probably more like a $3 order to a $3.25 order, honestly. But nonetheless, that's what I think a lot of people are thinking, because the more saturated it's going to be in these markets, the lower the bonuses are going to be. So it's going to be kind of that downward spiral, I think we're going to see.
Yost, what about your market? I know that we're all oversaturated. Doesn't matter how big a city you're in. Doesn't matter what part of the city you're in. I'm in Denver, kind of Denver proper, but it's a good gig economy town. But no matter where you are, there's oversaturation. But do you think if you were to do 41% more in your area that are going to be coming on for some extra work, knowing these companies, do you think that you're still going to get the orders you're getting now?
Absolutely not. I can see it's oversaturated now when I go to Chick-fil-A and there's 4 drivers there. And, you ask them, hey, how's it going? How long you been doing it? Oh, I've done it for 2 weeks. And I'm like, okay, come here. Let me talk to you. Don't take $3 orders. Don't do this. Don't do that. And you'll be successful. And, it's the thing of, if you see those younger drivers, those newbies, I make sure, I don't care if they want to listen to me or not. I'm like, hey, don't do this. I talked to a guy. He's like, I waited at Walmart for 4 hours one time. Yes, because these companies don't train. And I'm like, hey, go to my YouTube channel, go to some people's YouTube channel and look at what to do. They they like you said, the analytics, they do it on purpose. They'll start advertising on TikTok, say, hey, get your rent in 4 days and, pay your rent off with DoorDash. And you're like, yeah, for $3 orders, you're taking them all day. You're going to make $50. But hey, if you want to do that, go right ahead.
You mentioned, sorry.
I think that all of these apps, it doesn't matter which one it is, use incentives to lure people in and think that it's the best thing ever. And, God, Spark's incentives when you first start is this I'm doing Spark forever. And I call it the honeymoon stage. And they lure you in thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. And then the next thing you know, the next week you're making nothing because there's no more incentives. And that's how they hook people and they suck you in and they kind of just don't let you out. And you have that false pretense of, I can make so much money, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow and I'm going to do gig work. And then reality sets in and it's just oh, I really have to work in order to make what I'm trying to achieve. And I think that's where kind of the false sense of reality happens with a lot of drivers starting versus, some veteran drivers out there.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to thank. There was some private chat going on here, so I just wanted to thank Jason for being able to fill in last minute. I know he's got to bounce. He's like single parent right now.
Yeah, I got to put my kid to bed. So
full-time work, and
yeah, I appreciate you all. I subscribe to your channel, so I'm hopefully I'll be able to watch some of that. So I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
Hey, Jason, thanks for coming on.
Good night, Jason.
Yeah.
So yeah, I appreciate Jason coming on tonight. But I think that, you know, as we wind it down, so let's can we at least address that sexual orientation thing too? I think we should.
Yeah, so there was another article that was interesting, and I'll kind of talk about a little bit about my experience. But essentially, there was I don't know if it was a TikTok or where it was from, but essentially somebody who had applied for a job at DoorDash. It was like for DoorDash corporate, but essentially on the application there was 2 questions about what is your sexual orientation, like heterosexual, homosexual, other, and then there's another question about your gender identity. Now, from my experience, like when I applied for a job at DoorDash corporate, I was going into like more of a managerial position, so like I could understand maybe the gender identity, maybe because I can't really have a reason other than from a manager position. You want to make sure the person who's going to be a manager is going to respect everybody on their team, you know. But from just the sexual orientation, that was the one that didn't even make sense to me to ask on an application. Now, when I was going through the interview process, there was, you know, a bunch of interviews, and one of the questions that came up did talk a little bit about, you know, equity, diversity, all those different things. You know, how do you work with people of you know, I don't remember what it was, of marginalized groups, different things like that, which I was able to talk to just because of my experience. You know, I've had 10 years of experience in management before, you know, I went for that job. But nonetheless, now knowing that maybe if they're asking that on every application, sounds a lot different. Because, you know, somebody that's going to just be a phone representative, just going to take calls, customer service. And I will say this, because of one of the people that referred me to the job was somebody who used to work for me, who works for DoorDash Corp, works for their customer service center. And they went through basically the same interview process, you know, the panel interview, like 4 sequential interviews with people that I went through for a management position, just for a phone interview, just for, a phone customer service position, an entry-level position, which tells me that if the application was the same, the interview process was the same, sounds like DoorDash is doing, I think, almost a little bit too intrusive, honestly. I mean, yeah. I understand.
Way too. I mean, I don't even know how. I don't even call that intrusive. I call that
discriminatory.
A big problem. I mean, I would call that a problem. Like I don't even think any companies do that anymore.
It would be a difference if, like, with this culture that we're in, if they're like, hey, what do you like to be called, compared to like, what is your orientation? Like, I can see like a question like that say, hey, when you're filling out the initial information, hey, what, because the current job I'm at, they say, hey, what do you like to be called? And you have some options just so you can be called by your proper pronoun. You can address them properly, but asking them about whether they're, you know, their orientation or what part group they're in, I think it just doesn't make sense. Like, why does it matter what, you know, what they are, you know, who they are? You know, people should be respected no matter what. But that's just me.
Are you talking about like if they want to be like he, him?
Yeah.
She,
her? Yeah. So I understand. Like I said, the gender identity part, maybe that makes more sense.
But that even that should be optional. That if why does that matter? Why does that matter?
You know, Steve, I was going to say that because on a regular application, like they ask you usually they ask you, you know, your ethnicity, but it's optional. Like you have the chance, like you don't have to answer that just because of equality. Like that's kind of going against what
yeah, I'm kind of curious to have kind of go back and see if they had that option to opt out of answering that question.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll tell you guys it's probably, you know, I don't know if it's a bad thing or not. It's just me, but I always just answer it differently. I'll put,
but it shouldn't matter.
Polynesian.
That's what I don't get about this. Like it shouldn't matter. Like any of this shouldn't matter if you're qualified if you're either qualified for the job or you're not qualified for your job. It's not based off of your.
I agree 100%. Kim, I agree with you 100%. And I think in other countries, they're getting rid of that race question, the EEOC, what they call it.
Yeah.
They got rid of the question on the app. And like in America, like, hey, let's do it. And like, no, we can't. And it's just like,
I was going to say, the interesting thing, I looked back at that little application, and they have little asterisks by those questions, which most job applications, if it's an asterisk by the question,
you have to answer it.
Exactly. And that's what I think is over the line. If I agree, it should be optional. It should be like
so they're forced fields. Right, they're forced fields if they have the asterisk.
Right, so what happens if the person you're interviewing with is biased? And they look at your application already before you even get to the interview, is like you're already discriminating against the person who's interviewing for the job, opposed to are they qualified for the job based off of their past experience. And I guess I'm coming from like an HR world, and to me it just doesn't even make sense.
Well, what kind of going on with you're talking about? Because I imagine when you have those questions during kind of the application process, and it's almost like they're looking at, okay, before they even look at the qualifications, they're looking like, do we have 5 applicants in this bucket? We have 5 applicants in this bucket. And then, then you're looking at your qualifications after that. But it feels like they're trying to, I guess, hit the check marks before they hit, the resumes, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
I think it's having an adverse effect in that.
Oh man, it's a can of worms, man. They did a study back in the day, depending on like your names, and how if you had an ethnic name, you're 50% less likely to get called. You're less likely to get called, and you're like, what? So it's like, maybe I should change my name on my resume. It's just insane, and then questions like that, it's like just doesn't add up. And like we're one of the only countries that do it, which anyways, that's another topic for another day.
I have to wonder if part of it isn't literally like, and I am not defending these companies. I'm just trying to understand it from a different, because I think that all the companies are past wanting to even their lawyers would say, dude, get that off there. I would think, right? Like if you're DoorDash, if you're whatever, they see this and they're like, what is this? Are you kidding me? With all the crap you guys have on your plate right now, you have this? So I would think that that's being generated for another reason. The only thing I could come up with is, are they trying to meet some kind of quotas or use that analysis for how many females? And I know they're taking it way too far. I mean, they shouldn't be able to do any of that, but I'm wondering if they're just wondering, do we have this percentage of this? Do we have this percentage? As if they're doing a favor to the world.
Well,
but
I would say
really,
technically equity in a lot of corporate eyes is quotas, is quota related. So, yeah.
But those shouldn't be quotas. Those shouldn't. I agree. They shouldn't be quotas.
Yeah.
Like that's.
I understand what you're saying, Stephen. It could be the reason why they did it, but that's not the effect that it's going to have on the person interviewing for the job. Like, you're still going to get biased people out there that are just going to take one look at that application and go, nope, just based off of that, opposed to not having that on the application and going off of resume, work history, and
But really, at the end of the day, when we're done talking about this, the bottom line is that there's no reason they should be asking any of this.
No,
So,
it's
actually really worrisome. Like, why are you? I would want to apply. I would want to get somebody on the phone and say, why? What's up with this?
Because it starts to make you think, like Kim said, if you don't answer that question correctly, well, maybe I didn't get the interview because I was not what they were looking for, and they were looking for some other, mix of boxes there.
I think it's a lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, that being even like a thing, I'm surprised it's already not a lawsuit, to be honest.
Because it's not supposed to be some type of protected category regardless nowadays.
I don't know. It should not be it should nowhere be on the application. Like, your application should not be based off of your sexual orientation. It's none of anybody's business what your sexual orientation is. Like, it should be based off of your qualifications.
Wait a second. Is this right?
Really?
That's Mac from Portland. He's a friend. He's been doing this for a long time. I know him. So, and he's actually usually pretty on top of his things. I'm wondering, but it doesn't. What do you mean it's not a protected class though? Because I don't know. I mean, does that mean
they changed that law? So it's technically, well, I don't know. It's weird. I'm not going to give legal advice, but I will say that as somebody who's worked in management, I do know you can't discriminate against, based on things related to that. So it's a weird area, but it technically is a protected class, but it was a redefined definition from, I want to say, in the 2000s. So it wasn't initially when those laws were written, but within the last decade or two, that has been updated to include orientation. I do remember that from one of my classes.
Well, I mean, I would really like to know why any company would do this these days. I mean, I feel like things are a little too weird in that sense anyway. Like we're getting a little too like over the top with that kind of stuff anyway, and too focused on that kind of stuff instead of just finding the right applicant, the right person, and all this. It's like, okay, well, is he this, and this? Because we need one of those. Dude, they're not trading cards; they're people. Okay, like,
I mean, that's what I feel like. You start to treat people as trading cards, exactly.
It's like, it's like you got to have quotas. It's okay. Well, I get that, but there needs to be a better standard. You can't be asking people what their sexual orientation is, what they, what they're. I don't know. It's just I think we've covered it here enough that's not anybody's business. That has nothing to do with the job. Nothing.
It doesn't have anything to do with the job. Now, if you said, like, do you have any discrimination? Do you discriminate against these people? Like, I mean, that is a valid question. Are you a discriminatory person? But like, what's your sexual orientation? If that ever came up in a job interview, I'd be like, that's sexual harassment. I feel like you're asking me that.
Yeah,
I'm leaving. I'm leaving if you ask me that.
I might. I have enough like attorneys I've made contact with. I might just sit there in the interview and be like, hold on a minute. Let me just getting my attorney on the phone here. I can't believe you guys are doing this. I'm going to take some pictures too of your office. I'd be going nuts. I'd be like, dude, yeah, I'd keep calm, but I'd get an attorney on the phone while I'm there. I'd be like, I am no joke. I'm in a job interview and they say that they need to know my sexual orientation.
John, didn't you interview for DoorDash or you worked for DoorDash?
No, I interviewed for them. Yeah. That's what I was kind of relaying some of my experience from was when I went through that process. And at the time it was, okay, I'm just filling out, the application, thinking it was a weird question at the time, thinking, okay, maybe this is just how all the applications are nowadays, especially for these, I'll say more corporate, not even corporate, like more tech corporate companies. Yeah, but I remember having those questions because even while talking to my dad after the fact, he was talking to me, did they ask you certain questions about this topic or that question in the interview? And I was like, yeah, they actually did. He's like, interesting. Now, I wasn't offered the position, but I don't necessarily think it was related to, I hope it wasn't related to my sexual gender identity or any orientation or any of that. But I mean, yeah, definitely bringing up equity, how you've helped people, marginalized groups. Those were questions that they asked me in the interview process. It was like, like I said, with my job, I've had people of different backgrounds. I've been my mentors, and that I've mentored, that have been multiple identities, orientation. So like that question didn't faze me at all, but it was still weird because that's a question that I'd never been asked in a job interview before then, and I'd never been asked in a job interview after. So it's very unique to DoorDash.
I mean, it would be the same thing. Was the next question, have you ever committed a hate crime? I bet that wasn't on there.
No.
And if you're going to ask that stuff, you might as well be asking that too. Hey, have you ever committed a hate crime? I mean, you might as well go full blown and start asking people everything then if you're just going to really cross the line. Yeah. If you want to know that about them, you should want to know that about them too.
I mean, nowadays I feel like these companies, they do all this scanning and, if you don't have all of your social media I mean, they look at all. I feel like they have a lot of information on you if they really want it.
Oh yeah, they look at your social media all the time, and it just, yeah. And yeah, I keep my stuff private besides my Twitter, so don't go follow me on Twitter unless you really want to see some stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's I mean, that's kind of going back to, you know, I feel like this is kind of going backwards, but if you talk about the union and all these other type of things, you know, I feel like it's a matter of time before those things start to bleed over more and more. Orientation and identification are separate, I believe. If I'm reading that question right. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, that's
facts.
exactly
You know the
right.
job, they know the job.
Grandpa speaking facts like always. Shout out to DoorDash. Shout out to Dashing Grandpa. You be speaking facts.
Yeah, Brandon's always getting it right. So,
Do you have unconscious bias? I mean, that's a question. Everybody has some bias that's unconscious. They may not know what it is. I mean, that's the unconscious part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're all products of our environments. You know, we have ways we were raised, and then when we get to a certain age, we have things that we learn that are good and bad. And like, okay, I don't want to be like that. I want to be like this.
Exactly.
Yeah,
the double M's. Exactly.
You know, that's a good point there at the end. You know, they're not going to be productive because those type of people have so many other problems. They're not going to get anything done for you.
Yeah. So there's actually an interesting article I had read within the last week. It was about a business owner who basically, I don't remember all the details, so I'm probably going to butcher this, but essentially, I think they said that they're going to get rid of, I don't remember if I'm saying this right, people that had feelings. I don't remember what the feelings were. But long story short, people that had feelings. I can't butcher it. I'm feeling like I want to get this right, but I'm butchering it regardless. So I'll just say that
you're
the most
fired.
butchered way possible. If you have feelings, you felt this company's not fair or not this or that, they said, you understand you can have that, you know, and we'll give you a severance package. But basically, like you said, they found that those people were less productive. So they gave them severance packages and said, hey, you know, we're not the company. It's not a job match anymore. I wish you the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's surprising, though. That's something that I would think that somebody would come down on and would have sued them, would be suing them, class actions, that the company would want to get away from, that their lawyers even, you know. I'll say this, you know, having been through, I didn't have to go through a ringer like a lot of people do, but just even the dealings that we at Para did last year with DoorDash Legal, I mean, we tried to play with them a little. They don't like to play much. You know, like when we would, you know, tell them, hey, you show the transparency then. Otherwise, we'll turn it back on in a week. Like they didn't think that was funny.
You know, like, oh man,
I guess
get me started on tip transparency.
Sometimes you swing and miss.
Yeah.
You know, I guess my point is though, like, you know, they would put up as many lawyers as were needed to go up against that. Well, aren't those same lawyers, when you have 1,000 on retainer, aren't they going to go, dude, this stuff here, just rip it out, throw it in the trash, and pretend like you never did that?
I think that would make sense, but I feel like from a DoorDash perspective, they're kind of attracting the people they want by asking those questions too, because the people that are offended by those questions, they didn't want you to work for them anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
DoorDash wants a whole bunch of yes men. That's all they want.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
That's kind of what I felt like. I'm not gonna lie, I did feel like that in the interview process. Everybody was drinking that Kool-Aid, tell you that much.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're the best DoorDash worker if you take the $2.50 orders for 10 miles.
Did they ask you this
question?
Not
a team player?
No, you take $2.75 orders. Is that part of your interview?
No. I think I did mention that I did something like, oh yeah. You would definitely know a lot.
Let me see that acceptance rate. Let me see that acceptance rate.
Why are you not a team player? No, okay.
So okay, before we get out of here tonight, then, and thanks for everybody for being here with us. I was trying to scroll back, and I know Kim is now familiar with this. I've been dealing with this for a while. This StreamYard never goes back far enough, and all kinds of things when you want to play catch up. Well, probably not with Kim because she's awesome at it, but I've been doing it longer than Kim, but for some reason she got really good at keeping up with comments. I fall a little behind.
Really? But I feel like I'm like, nope. I'm like,
well, but you go back though. But you go back. Like somehow you are able to like mark the spot where you stopped. Or else you're just leaving it there and not seeing anything new. But I know you see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just leave it wherever. Like I kind of leave off. I leave it there, and then like I kind of go through that comment, and then if I want to go back down, I scroll down a little bit further until I get caught up with the rest of the comment.
Yeah,
I just learned something.
But a lot of times too, I look and I know that during these roundtables, a lot of times the conversations are just happening between everybody. So it's not like I'm like, oh my gosh, we missed a bunch of stuff because I know you guys are all, and I love that. I think that's awesome because I like going back after it processes and reading all the things you guys wrote. You know, especially because I see a lot of stuff in here. But yeah, I don't know. Yost, what do you got going on for the rest of the summer? You gonna keep doing DoorDash? Is there a point where you're gonna go, nope? Are you near it?
So with me, it's I gotta make some money. I gotta get some quick money in. So whatever app pays me, it's gonna pay. I like the principle that I would say. I like the fact that with some of the DoorDash orders, you're helping people that can't necessarily get out, or the premise of any of those apps, you help people that can necessarily get out, and you're doing a good thing. But just in a sense, my goal is to exit probably within this next year. Find some other ways to make money that I would say is probably a little bit easier with these gas prices or wear and tear in your car. But your car is meant to be driven, so I mean. But yeah, that's kind of my exit, and so I can go to more baseball games. That's really why I do it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a man with goals right there.
It's really what I do is to go to more baseball games and have fun. And just going after work, going out for a couple of hours. I watch Lou and Mary with the Dash Experience, and they say, okay, I want to make $100 today, and then they do it. And that's kind of my thing. I try to make $100 and call it a night. If I'm at 99.01, I'm done. Just you can't do too much with these apps to get yourself burned out because they'll burn you out really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or you got to know how to pivot. I always say this, but you got to know how to pivot, and I don't just mean from apps. Like you got to know how to pivot in time too. Like if you really trying to make it in the gig economy, if you're trying to make some money, you can do it, but you got to be willing to go, well, Tuesdays are sucking. I'm going to have to start working Fridays, or I'm going to have to start working. And that's just what it is. I've been in the bar industry forever. It's the same way with that. Seasons come, seasons go. One night becomes big, one night becomes dead. And you got to be willing to float with that. If you're somebody who's like, well, I need my weekends, full-time gig work probably isn't going to be for you then. Because that's the same thing to make money on full-time gig work. You need to work the weekends. So, things are going to come up and they're going to make you miss things, and they're going to, it's just what it is. But if you're willing to do that kind of thing and hustle and pivot, and there's still, there's money to be made. But I do think that yeah, you do have to adapt. Like I'm trying to get this dumpling thing still going. Like I'm about to, and I know that when I do, it's going to go big. I've just wanted to make sure that I've got everything I'm going to be able to do on there, but true independent contractorship. And it would be nice I will make videos about me going out with a bang on Instacart, because I will start picking up every Instacart order, and I'll have a video of me stapling my dumpling card to it, putting it on the thing till they fire me.
One thing, I'll say this. One thing I thought about doing is when I film is putting my card on there and say, hey, your order was filmed on this, which I know may be interesting or not. I may say something bad about the order, so I thought against that. But I'm like, hey, if you want to see your order get delivered, here you go. I don't know. It's something interesting.
I like that idea. Yeah. Hey, I remember there was I think it was like a year ago, but a guy was putting like his I don't know, it was like his Spotify card. He like made an album. It was like attaching it to deliveries, and so you can definitely promote. I remember reading that like DoorDash allows you to do that.
Right. Yeah. I just kind of, the way I feel about Instacart, I feel like when they did call me, I wouldn't even play it. Like, like if they were like, hey, are you stapling business cards I'd be like, yep. Are you for any reason, yeah, your company sucks, and I'm going to make some real money. So just trying to take some of your customers before I go.
As long as you record that in the video, I'll watch it.
What? And one thing about Instacart, these people are taking $9 orders for 80 items. You're like, what are you
orders
doing?
Yeah.
What are you
$7.
doing? I was being generous, but yeah, you're right. It's $7 for 40 in.
Nope.
Oh, it's just so much education we got to do, but I mean, we try. You can only say it so much.
Yeah. I mean, I know Bud Soda's in here. I know, I think Thomas has some luck with Instacart. I know there's some people who have some luck with Instacart. I just never have, even from day one. And I've done enough apps since 2014 to know that, okay, I just signed up. Oh, they just onboarded me. My honeymoon period has started. And I never had one with Instacart. It was like, hey, you want $1? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, that's all we're going to give you. I was like, this sucks.
And the thing with Instacart too, I feel like some apps you can say, okay, I'm going to take some small orders, like $12 for 3 items, but you still got to spend the time shopping, finding those items. And if they're out of stock, it's like, oh, it's not really worth that $12 anymore if anything goes wrong with that order.
Yeah.
Have you immediately took an order and just regretted it as soon as you took it? You're like, why did I take this? I question my life choices when I take some orders, and I said, why did I just do this? The money looked good. You weren't thinking, you're driving, and it's one of those safety things, and it takes 14 buttons to decline the DoorDash order. Oh yeah, the YouTube shirt. No, but I gotta make that YouTube money like you, man. I ain't making money yet. I gotta get that Kim money. So I was like, I ain't making that money yet. So
if you build it, they will come.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna switch out. I'm gonna add John's and Jason's into the show notes because I know I already had us, and Yost is already in there. So if you aren't already subscribed to Yost, go check out his channel, especially if you're doing delivery and stuff. I like his channel because of the baseball stuff, because I've been to Kaufman, and I being the Tigers fan that I am, I got to see on the last season Verlander pitched for the Tigers. I saw him in Detroit. We saw them on the night before Father's Day at Kauffman Stadium. He pitched. I think it was 26. It was whatever the year he traded to the Astros and they won the World Series. I think it was 2016, maybe.
Yep.
2016. And then so they were at Kansas City, and then my son and I went to the Father's Day game too. And then we got to see Verlander pitch his last game here at Rockies Stadium because it was like the trade had already been made. He knew he was going. It was the last game, but he because it's National League, you got to bat when you're pitching. He actually got a hit at his very last Tigers game.
Wow.
He got a hit. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, for those of you that don't watch baseball, the American League and National League are different. National League has their pitchers bat. American League doesn't. But when you're playing, is it when you're playing National League?
They don't do it anymore. They don't do it anymore. Okay. It's universal DH now. But
I heard that was asked that too. Yeah,
it's the universal DH. But I want to make an announcement on here. If people stay this long, I'm making an announcement today. I'm gonna start vlogging for a year after my birthday. I'm gonna do a year-long everyday vlog. So you guys are the first ones to know, and it's gonna be a blast. And I'm gonna do some orders, and so yeah, y'all the first ones to know. I haven't said anything yet, but I decided to say something. Shake things up.
like the Truman Show, like 24 hours a day, or
no, just daily vlogs. And so I think folks need to know what DoorDash is doing and what these companies are doing, and also the fun side of what you can do if you have goals and set stuff.
Yeah. So
we're about
everybody
to have some fun on YouTube.
Yeah, who doesn't remember Verlander? Come on. The bird. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, you guys, thank you for joining us tonight. I know last minute we were throwing a curveball, but I felt like that was a good time, and I was glad Jason was able to join us too, and John was able to, and Kim as always, and that we were able to have Yost on, and now he feels like part of the family too. So and thank you all, chat, for joining us too. I see that Ellen came in. I see Grandpa's back. I see Tony's here. Nova, Mac.
Got an awesome chat.
I saw Tyne here.
Every night.
Yeah, we really do. We get a lot of. I mean, just good people in here. Cody and Autumn are in here. And, yeah, good crew. And thank you guys for joining us on Thursdays. We love it. And we will be back here next week with Zach Drives Fast is going to be our guy. So, and then after that, we have Nova Dasher.
Oh yeah.
So that'll be a fun one too. But we'll see you back here next week. And thank you guys. Have a good week. And we'll see you around.
Thank you so much, Ben. I appreciate